Gin does games!
Hey ladies and gents, Gin here with another League of Legends champion guide for you, but not just any champion my friends, no! Today we will learn how to be a ninja. And I don't mean your ninja with standard stealth mechanics, no, I mean the kind that can suddenly appear on the other side of the map and are then impossible to kill. This is Shen, the Eye of Twilight and leader of the King Cole Order of Ninja. Grab your ninjato and get ready to flip out. It's time to learn how to Shen. Shen is a tank in the truest sense, but an extremely flexible one. He can go top, he can jungle, he can even support. His abilities allow him to pull off strategies that no other champion can replicate. Furthermore, his kit lets his build be quite flexible, opting for pure tanking or a bruiser that focuses on either attack damage or ability power. He's energy based instead of mana, meaning he has a static pool to draw from, but it returns very quickly. This allows him to stay in sustained combat indefinitely, but he can't spam his abilities too often. Our lead ninja's passive is Key Strike. Every 9 seconds, his next attack deals bonus magic damage that scales based on his level and his bonus health, as well as restores a small amount of energy. It has a static internal cooldown, so it's unaffected by cooldown reducing items, but when he hits an enemy with a basic attack, he reduces the timer by 1.5 seconds each time. There's another way to do this as well, but we'll get to that shortly. Key Strike is very good at helping Shen get last hits and push lanes, as well as generally hit things harder, of course. Shen's Q is Vorpal Blade. He decides to make like someone in a Lewis Carroll poem and go snicker-snack, tossing one of his ninjato at an enemy. As one might expect, someone getting hit with a sword in their face takes a bit of damage, but wait, there's more. An enemy hit becomes life-tapped for a few seconds. Any ally who attacks them during this duration will be healed by a small amount over the next 3 seconds, refreshing that duration every time they hit. The damage scales off of ability power, but the heal scales based on Shen's maximum health. If Shen kills the enemy by hitting them with the skill, he gains back a third of what he normally would instantly. Vorpal Blade has a very short cooldown and is Shen's only ranged skill. The range makes it great for last hitting, and the heal lets him stay in lane longer, as well as helping him out considerably in the jungle. For all this, I generally take Vorpal Blade at level 1 and max it out first. Kono ninja no W wa feint da yo. Feint gives Shen a shield for up to 3 seconds that scales based on his ability power. While the shield is active, the cooldown reduction from auto attacks for Key Strike is doubled, so 3 seconds per shot. That makes it quite good for pushing lanes even when you're not getting hit. Feint is the burst mitigation to Vorpal Blade's sustained healing. As such, I generally take a point in it at level 2 and max it out second. However, if you're having trouble with people bursting you down in lane, consider putting more points in it early. Shadow Dash is Dr. McNinja's E. He dashes toward a location, obviously, damaging and taunting any enemy champions in his path, forcing them to attack him for a few seconds. Champions that are taunted deal 50% less damage to him. The energy cost for the ability is quite high, but you gain back some for every enemy you taunt. This ability is what makes Shen a true tank. Anyone can be beefy, but forcing them to not attack your squishy allies is what a tank is really supposed to do. Not only this, but it's a solidly long dash, allowing you to leap over walls to escape or engage in fights unexpectedly. The taunt portion of the ability is quite important as it can break channeling abilities, such as Katarina or Miss Fortune's ultimate. While it's extremely useful, the cost is fairly prohibitive and the damage is minimal, so in the early game, take a point in it for utility at level 2 or 3 and max it out last. 1 point early in the game that it's quite useful for though is when playing defensively. If the enemy has pushed you under your tower, then it's time to make them die. Towers immediately focus on enemies that attack you, so by taunting them under your tower, you force them to take tower hits for an easy kill. Finally, we reach Shen's ultimate, the game-changing Stand United. When activated, an ally gets a massive shield that scales on your ability power for 5 seconds. Shen focuses and channels for 3 seconds before teleporting to that ally, allowing him to jump into a fight from anywhere and instantly turn the tide of battle. Even if Shen's channeling gets interrupted and he can't teleport, your ally still gets the shield. Shen will not teleport, however, if the target dies before he finishes channeling. Just like other abilities that target allies, you can use champion portraits to target a specific champion if they are all clumped together. One thing to be wary of when teleporting like this is that the camera will not automatically follow Shen if you don't have it locked on him, so make sure you have your eyes on the fight before you make your appearance, or hold spacebar to stay on him the whole time. Because of this ability to appear with your team at will, Shen does not have to travel with his team like most do in a team fighting phase. He can jungle indefinitely or push lanes and then suddenly appear to bring the pain when necessary. With all this, you can bet you should take a point in it every chance you can get. Oh, and did I mention it has no cost? For runes, I recommend attack speed marks, flat armor seals, magic resistance per level glyphs, and movement speed quintessences. These are solid choices all around, especially the armor and magic resist, but let me speak about the other two. The attack speed will help you get your key strike off more often, and particularly, it will help you out early on in the jungle, clearing it more quickly. The movement speed is good for making up for Shen's short range, as well as helping him position better for his shadow dash. Other than these, you might also consider health runes, since several of his abilities scale based on health. For Masteries, go for 0, 21, 9, making sure to take all of the bonus health and defense and more movement speed and utility. The numbers here are quite malleable, especially in the utility tree, as you could change your points around a good bit for jungling. Summoner spells are quite flexible for Shen. Exhaust is a solid choice to add more crowd control to his kit. Flash is good for repositioning or escape, as always, but not nearly as necessary as for other champions, since he has a dash and teleport. Ghost is great for catching up to people for taunting, pushing lanes, and any other manner of things. Heal is great when supporting, and is generally good in a team fight. Not only will you suddenly appear and provide a shield, you'll also heal your whole team. And on top of that, the passive bonus from the Mastery gives you yet more bonus health. Finally, if you're jungling, take Smite. Nothing else I have to say on that matter. You take Smite when you're jungling. Period. Listen to me. Shen is pretty item independent as things go. He can take whatever he wants and generally be successful with it. He benefits from attack speed, cooldown reduction, any defensive stat, and attack damage or ability power at your choosing. His kit provides most of his power, and everything else is icing on the cake. His recommended items are a solid guide all around, but there's room for plenty of variation. He can start with anything he'd like to fit the situation, be it Doran's shield, cloth armor and pots, boots of speed, even a ruby crystal. Just avoid buying mana and I won't have to smack you. If you're jungling though, you'll definitely want to start with the hunter's machete. This you can work into a Wriggle's lantern, which works perfectly in strategies of indefinitely jungling or split pushing. Because, as I mentioned, most of Shen's power comes from his kit, the build order is extremely flexible. Build to suit your situation and the rest will fall into place. As such though, for the most part, I'll just be listing options here. Mercury treads are all around your best choice of boots as Shen. You'll be getting into the thick of fights quite a lot, and the tenacity will do you well. I almost always grab Wit's End with Shen. He scales wonderfully with attack speed, as we've mentioned. It grants a bunch of extra damage and magic resistance for handy tankiness. The other attack speed option you should consider is Zeal. It builds into either Static Shiv, which you can use in a pushing strategy to utter decimate minion waves, or you can build a Trinity Force for considerably more teamfight presence. Phage, which also builds into Trinity Force, is on your recommended list for good reason. Health and damage are great, but the slow allows you to stick to targets even after your taunt has ended. It can also be built into a Frozen Mallet for yet more health and slowing if you need a more defensive option. Speaking of health, Warmog's armor is quite powerful in its new incarnation. It unfortunately doesn't stack as nicely as it used to in multiples, but one by itself grants you a huge advantage, especially if bought early. Combine this with Adma's Impaler for a classic bruiser build to give you all the damage you'll ever need. Also on the health front, a Kindle Gem and its various incarnations are solid choices on Shen. Health and cooldown reduction are awesome, of course, and you can build it into Spirit Visage for magic resist, and the healing bonus affects your Vorpal Blade. For a more supporting role in a team fight, Zeke's Herald, Locket of the Iron Solari, and even Shirelia's Reverie work well. For both armor and health, Randuin's Omen is not only classically powerful on Shen, it's arguably improved. Now that the passive for getting hit is not random, taunting your enemies will always result in them getting slowed afterwards. Aegis of the Legion and its new form of Runic Bulwark are also quite powerful, and provide a nice surprise in a teamfight when you suddenly appear and boost your team's defenses to amazing levels. Finally here, with all that health you're getting, consider Guardian Angel. With its new percentage-based health when you respawn, you'll be extra hard to kill. As for ability power-based options, first, consider Rylai's Crystal Scepter. It grants more health than a phage, and the slow is both more reliable and ranged with Vorpal Blade. AP has several defensive options that Shen could use, in fact. An Abyssal Scepter works well, as you'll easily be in range for the passive to work. Zhonya's Hourglass grants AP and armor, but you probably don't need the invincibility all that much, you're already crazy hard to kill. Banner of Command provides a nice defensive aura and improves your split pushing power even more. Also, though it may seem odd, if you have AP casters in your team but none of them will take Deathfire Grasp, consider getting that. You'll easily get in range to cast it, and your casters will appreciate the damage bonus they get. Shen's ultimate is one of the few in the game that scales ludicrously with coordination. Though you should try and keep up with what's going on throughout the map anyway, it's much easier if your teammates can quickly communicate with you. Having at least one friend on your team on Skype or some other kind of vocal chat program will significantly improve your timing with your ultimates, as they can let you know when they need it, or you can even plan attacks with it. As I've mentioned before, because of that ultimate, you can indefinitely jungle and split push lanes. So long as that ultimate is up, it's unnecessary for you to travel with the pack, instead opting to apply pressure elsewhere. This will generally force them to either split up to deal with you, making them weaker, all attack you, meaning your team can then follow and collapse on them, or they attack your team without you, in which case you show up like the cavalry at the last minute to save the day. Just be wary of being baited out, lest you waste your ultimate. Though it may seem silly to say, remember that you can use your ultimate even if you're standing right next to the ally in question. It might feel bad to waste the teleport, but it's much better to not let your teammate die. Just plain and simple. When jungling, since Shen is an energy user, he doesn't need the blue buff necessarily. He can start at red if he likes and gank earlier because of it. However, the blue buff does grant bonus energy over time, so if you do take it, it'll help you clear the jungle faster. It's nice to have the option of giving away the first blue buff though, and you certainly don't need any beyond the first one, letting you pass it on to whomever you feel needs it. Shadow Dash allows you to do some sneaky ninja things, like avoid enemy wards. Say for example, you want to get into the enemy's top jungle, but you know both the entrances are warded. That's okay, just hop over the wall and voila, problem solved. Shen is a powerful tank and a super sneaky ninja. He excels at pressuring your opponents and then dominating team fights through taunts and shields. Practice the way of the ninja and you will surely succeed. If you're already well versed in the way of the ninja and you got this far into the video, please let me know in the comments below if I've left anything out. This is all about learning, even for me. Till next time, summoners, I've been Gin, and you've been watching me talk about a video game.